ado, let's start the tour once again. So if you haven't met me before, my name is Adam, your resident content creator from Budapest, professional licensed guide doing in-person tours and virtual tours as well. Today we are going to check out the chain bridge. We are going to see the funicular, and we're going to walk a little bit along the lower embankment of Pest. So the experience is supposed to last about 35, 40 minutes in total. We started the tour at twilight, and we are going to finish the tour during the blue hour. As you can see, I'm on the terrace right above the castle tunnel, and we have the Buda Castle ahead of us. That white colored building, that would be the presidential palace. Next to the former Carmelita monastery serves now as the Prime Minister's office. And as I'm panning to the south, well, you can see a bunch of cranes and what we have left of the royal palace of former royal palace of Buda today. Well, on this balcony, on this terrace, there used to be an outdoor cafe during the good old times, late 1800s, early 1900s, during the late decades of socialism, communism. The place was closed down, and the venue became known as a off-beaten track dating site, and it was quite easy actually to sit on the edge of the castle tunnel. Basically, you could sit here and you could actually have your feet hanging above the road. Unfortunately, some fell and got injured, and then they designed railings that we have today around this terrace. If you joined a little bit later, then I'm happy to tell you that the tour is being recorded, and as soon as possible, I'm going to upload it to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/behind Budapest, and it will be available for all of you. Also, if you like this kind of content that I'm providing you from various corners of Hungary, well, kindly consider buying me a coffee through buymeacoffee.com. The link is available actually on the Facebook group in a pinned post. And since spring is knocking on the door, at least it was knocking during the month of February, we have a bunch of blooming bushes all around, providing some color to the city. Well, we have the castle tunnel beneath us. The castle tunnel that was built by the same engineer, by Adam Clark, who's responsible for the chain bridge. He was the on-site project manager of the chain bridge. We're talking about Adam Clark. Adam Clark happened to find the strongest magnet of the country. He married to a Hungarian lady, settled down, and he became the engineer of the castle tunnel as well. That was opened in 1858. And it was a toll road for a couple of decades. After the First World War, we had 133 days of Soviet Republic. And during the 133 days, all bridges and all tunnels became toll-free. As you can see, we are walking right in the opposite direction of a relatively big tour group. But it also means that we can have the bridge above the funicular only for ourselves. The construction of the funicular was initiated by the same philanthrope family that is part responsible for the chain bridge as well. We're talking about the Széchenyi. It was Budapest Széchenyi who initiated the construction of the funicular. Legend says it he was quite lazy to climb up to the hill every single day. He was looking for a solution to make his life easier, make his commute easier, and just like his father traveled the continent to find a source of inspiration for building the first permanent bridge over the Danube in the Habsburg Empire, while he tried to find a solution for climbing a hill. And he bumped into a funicular in Lyon in 1862, and he copied the idea and opened the local version in 1870. We have two cars on the funicular, both named after Hungarian saints. We have Gellert and we have Margit, or Margaret in English, and Gerard would be Gellert in English. The picture that I showed you, that I shared right now, shows you how the funicular looked like in 1870, the year it opened. From the very beginning, from 1870 till the Second World War, there was a steam engine at the bottom of the hill that operated the two cars that featured a first class decorated with blue carpeted seats, and a second class with wooden benches. What you can see on the hilltop is largely different on this picture. What we have today, this building happens to be the so-called Zeughaus, where the weapons were kept. And the other building, this one happens to be today's presidential palace. Back then, it was the Alexander family's palace. The journey was in the 1870s twice as fast as it is today. It took about a minute to go from the top station to the bottom. And although originally, legend says it that the funicular was built for a nobleman to make his life easier, on the hilltop there were several government institutions, the Department of Finances, State Department, and so on and so forth, with a lot of white-collar workers, and their paycheck was not generous enough so that they could offer to, pay for a cab every single day. So they were looking for a cheaper solution. And apparently, the cheaper solution was the funicular. So basically, it became a money printing business. The funicular was completely destroyed during the Second World War, to the point that in 1949 it looked like so. And while we are making our way down to the Danube, well, I am going to show a bunch of further pictures from the early years of the funicular. So, well, in 1944, the funicular got severely damaged. The top station got a hit, and the funicular car that has been stationed at the moment on the top station burned out completely. As you could see on the previous photo that I showed you how it looked like in 45, the bottom station survived, so did the steam engine, but in 1949 decision was made that the funicular is, well, shall not be salvaged, and eventually it was buried back so that it looked like as such until 1983, when the reconstruction began, so that the line could be reopened in 1986. What you can see on this picture, the formal Alexander Palace is in ruins, and it hasn't been converted into a storage unit yet. As you can see, the lights are already on. It is getting darker and darker. And while we are making our way down to the chain bridge, to the 0 point of the Hungarian graph, should you have any questions, feel free to fire it up in the comment section. Claudia's question: electric or gas lamp? Well, Claudia, thank you very much for the question. Apparently, you are reading my mind. I wanted to mention that the lamps, the street lights along the slopes of the castle hill are all gas lights. One of the last places in the country where we still have gas lights. Reminiscence of the old world, if you wish. We'll have to do a quick security break or safety break. I have to tie my shoelaces, or at least I have to organize it. My shoelaces are not supporting my mission to bring various corners of Hungary closer to you step by step, tour after tour. But about the castle tunnel, so it was built by the same engineer who was the on-site project manager of the chain bridge, Adam Clark. You can see that there are windows on both sides, and there is even a balcony. Well, the engineer who was responsible for the upkeep of the castle tunnel lived in these units together with his family. And well, considering that the castle tunnel has a direct view to the chain bridge, I would say that this is not necessarily the ugliest office like ever in the history of mankind. Today, neither of the two offices are being used. The engineer who is responsible for the chain bridge and for the castle tunnel makes only a sporadic pop in these offices. But both the castle tunnel and both the chain bridge are being checked day after day. Since it's a tremendous job, well, they don't check every single part every single day. So now we are at the foot of the castle hill. So you can see how much we've progressed so far. We've started from the terrace of the castle tunnel, and now we are at the bottom station of the funicular. Now the electric engine is on the top station, as opposed to the good old times when the steam engine was at the bottom. And this exact view looked like this back in 1870. On this picture, you can again see the bar that I've mentioned. This is where we started from, the bar that disappeared during the time of socialism or communism. And well, while we are passing by the 00 stone of the Hungarian graph, this is from where we count distances in Hungary. This is the 0 kilometer stone. It does not form a perfect zero. The sculptor wanted to symbolize the birth of distances, hence the zero has this odd shape. And well, I would highly recommend you to not to blink at all, because very soon the chain bridge's floodlights will be turned on, and for a brief second, the chain bridge will be full red, then green, and then the tricolor illumination will kick in. Tricolor because on Friday, on the 15th of March, we were celebrating the anniversary of the failed uprising of 1848 and 1849. Yesterday, the lights were turned on at 6:08. I did the necessary planning. We have 60 seconds left. So, like I said, time not to blink. We're gonna stick around here until the lights are turned on, and we will progress later on. There is an urban legend. No, this is why we came for, so you can see how the lights are turned on. And we are going to move back a little bit so that you can have a nice view of the chain bridge. So before the chain bridge has been built, between Buda and Pest, there were flying bridges and pontoon bridges. So from this angle, you can see that the top of the chain bridge is red, the middle part is what we consider white to be, and the bottom is actually green. So before the chain bridge was opened, there were pontoon bridges, and the pontoon bridges looked like so. This painting dates back to 1843. You can see that in the rear of this painting, the chain bridge is under construction. The construction of the chain bridge began in 1842, and it took 7 years for Adam Clark to complete this mission. So we have this pontoon bridge. The pontoon bridge was wide enough so that two horse-driven carriages could fit next to each other, and there were also a sidewalk on both the south and on the north side of this pontoon bridge. And well, during the construction of the bridge, we had the uprising that I've mentioned. And well, apparently Zoom takes the side of Austrians. I wanted to show you a picture. of the general who wanted to blow up the chain bridge on the 21st of May, 1849. Well, he did not succeed. The Hungarian army was actually on the Pest side of the river Danube. The Austrians controlled the Buda side, where we are now, and the Austrian army placed explosives on the bridge to make sure they can deny the river crossing of their enemy. A Hungarian soldier ran across the bridge, charging the Austrian general, who shot and killed the Hungarian soldier just to blow up the bridge later on. As it turned out, the explosives were not placed accordingly, and the only casualty of this attempt was actually the Austrian general. There is a painting about this, which Zoom did not allow me to share for some magical reasons. So that's something I'm going to share with you later on in our Facebook group. Well, you can see the castle tunnel. On the right-hand side, the Buda Castle on the hilltop, nicely lit up, and today's presidential palace. This angle looked as such in the 1970s. Castle tunnel, you can see that the bar is already missing from the terrace of the castle tunnel. You can see that the today's presidential palace is still in ruins. This is where the bar is supposed to be, and this is actually where the funicular is running today. Traveling back in time. But our job is to cross the chain bridge. So we are going to progress with that while blue hour kicked in, as you can see. So the reason why the chain bridge has been built is basically that the pontoon bridges and the flying bridges could not provide a permanent connection between the two banks of the river Danube. As soon as the ice drift began and ice appeared on the surface of the river, well, the river turned to be very democratic, and it denied the crossing of everyone, regardless of the level of their privilege, regardless whether if they were nobles or an ordinary citizen of the Habsburg Empire. Well, I've mentioned that the same family is part responsible for the construction of the chain bridge, who initiated the construction of the funicular as well, to help civil servants climbing up the hill. Well, legend says it that there was a winter when István Széchenyi and Ferenc Széchenyi were living in separate cities. According to one variation of the urban legend, one of them lived in Pest, the other in Vienna. Well, I've read the story the other way around as well. So all in all, we have Vienna and Pest in the story. So the legend goes as following. The son got a message, either in Vienna or in Pest, that his father got sick and he won't make it till spring, so he could cross the river. So if the son wants to talk to him, talk to his father one last time, he better find a way to cross the river during the winter, during the time of the ice drift. You may wonder how come that there was an ice drift, and whether if the Danube freezes recent day as well. Well, it does not. During the 1800s, Europe faced a short ice age. Winters were much colder and much longer. So the ice drift and frozen river was a regular thing. So obviously, son wanted to talk to his father one last time. So either he attempts to cross the river from Vienna to Pest or from Pest to Vienna. In both cases, in both versions, the idea was that he will attempt the crossing between Buda and Pest. Regardless of him being one of the most financially privileged in the country, he couldn't offer enough money to the captains to take him from one side of the river to the other, which resulted that eventually he missed the last chance to talk to his father, and he also missed the funeral service. And that was the moment when he figured that a bridge, a permanent bridge, shall be built so that no one else would face the same problems he had to face, and no one would have to wait several weeks to cross the Danube at any time during the year. Well, he didn't know how a proper bridge looks like, so he decided to travel Europe to find a bridge he could copy. And the one he fell in love with still stands actually in the United Kingdom, in the city of Marlow. He even hired the same architect, Thierry Clark, a Bristol-born architect, who who designed the chain bridge for Buda and Pest as well, because at the time of the construction, the two cities, or the three cities, hasn't been united yet. How was that? Well, when the bridge was opened, it actually looked like such. Again, the bridge is one thing, but the close proximity of the bridge is also quite interesting in terms of comparison. This would be the previous version of the Royal Palace. This building here is the Zeughaus, where the weaponry was kept. And this is the Alexander Palace. And this teeny tiny little partial building is the Carmelita Monastery, which today serves as the Prime Minister's office. You can also see that the riverfront, neither on the Buda side nor on the Pest side, was developed properly. So it was still very much exposed to floodings. But in the close proximity of the chain bridge at the bridgehead, a solid lower embankment was built so they could build a bridge, and they could anchor the chains of the chain bridge to both the Buda and the Pest side as well. And another picture from the same period of time will show you the customs, the toll booths as well, or the customs. There were 4 of these. Everyone had to pay tolls to cross, regardless of whether if one was a nobility or not. You can see that the bridge could be crossed on foot as well. We have a bunch of soldiers here. You could also cross it by carrying cargo, and passenger horse-driven carriages were also able to cross the chain bridge. Obviously, they all had to pay different amount of tolls. And let me check whether if there are further questions. And well, me being a little bit clumsy today. I failed to I somehow pressed the screensaver and I locked the screen. Anyways, so we are going to press on, and we are closing the distance to Pest. Now I dropped the storyline that we have the role model, we have the architect, we have the plans, we have the blueprints, but we still don't have the money. Well, during the 1830s, a private limited company has been founded by the Seychenis, and they were looking for financial partners. The Seychenis had the idea, but they didn't have the money to build the bridge. Although I've mentioned you earlier that the Seychini family was one of the most financially privileged family, they still didn't have enough money alone to build the bridge. So they attempt to convince other aristocratic families, other nobilities as well, to chip in. Eventually, the biggest shareholder of this limited company became the Shina family. They were Vienna-based, so we may call them Austrian royal family or Hungarian. Either way, the Shinas and the Seychenis joined their forces to build to sponsor the chain bridge. The Shinas and the Seychenis also got a special permission from the king. In order to make sure that they can, get their money back, in order to make sure that their investment would be lucrative, the king actually promised that no bridges were allowed to be built 1 mile south and 1 mile north from the chain bridge, to make sure that within the boundaries of Buda and Pest, the chain bridge would be the only place where one can cross throughout the entire year. Well, this promise became problematic during the 1870s when the King Francis Joseph decided that a second bridge has to be built between Buda and Pest, and that bridge's construction, the first phase of Margaret Bridge's construction was to break the monopolium of the chain bridge. So basically, the Austro-Hungarian monarchy had to buy out the company who owned the monopoliums from the chain bridge. It is said that there was such a tremendous traffic across the chain bridge that within 3 to 5 years, depending on the sources you may find online, the families won back all their investment, and then the bridge was just making profit. And since both families were very much into supporting their countries, I mean Hungary, especially the Széchenyi, a lot of projects were sponsored from the amount of money that these families made on the chain bridges tolls. Just like the castle tunnel, the chain bridge as well was a toll road until 1918, and it was also the Soviet Republic that made the chain bridge toll free. Again, should you have any questions, feel free to put it in the comment section. Otherwise, should there be no questions, I am going to entertain you with another bunch of pictures that I prepared for this tour. Thank you very much, Claudia. That's very kind of you. So, well, the chain bridge as a strategic crossing was not just strategic during the uprising of 1848-49 that the Austrians would call a rebellion, was also strategic during the Second World War. The German army, the Axis, wanted to deny crossing of the Soviets, so they blew up the chain bridge between the Pest side and the pylon, and on the Buda side as well, between the Buda bridgehead and the pylon. You can see the lion on this photo in amongst the debris. The chain bridge was completely destroyed. It was not even possible to do any temporary makeshift crossing available at the location of the chain bridge. And you can also see that the Buda Castle was also bombed to the ground, destroyed to the ground. It was 1949 when the chain bridge was reopened again. It was the first bridge within the boundaries of Budapest that allowed people to cross the river. This picture was taken in 1948, and it shows you the reconstruction of the chain bridge after the Second World War. And well, today, due to the national holiday, the chain bridge shows like three colors, the Hungarian colors, red, white, and green. Actually, the chain bridge was the first bridge within the boundaries of Budapest that got its special night illumination. Back in the 1920s, it was already lit up at night, and this is how the chain bridge's night lights looked like back in the 20s. You can see that neither the House of Parliament nor the Margaret Bridge was illuminated back in the 1920s, 1930s. Another angle will show you how the chain bridge looked like at night as seen from the south. And when I said south, I meant north. This is the late 10s, 1910s, early 1920s, when the silhouette of the bridge was lit up, but not the entire bridge. You can see the Matthias Church as well in the background. So we are going to press forward, and we will make our way to the lower embankment. In 2021, 2022, 2023, the chain bridge went through a comprehensive restoration work, and the current version of the chain bridge shows how the bridge looked like prior to the Second World War. During the times of socialism or communism, well, the most important thing was to rebuild the bridge. The way it looked like was not necessarily considered. Most important thing was to have a crossing point. So a lot of small details were missing that were replaced during the latest reconstruction or restoration work. The restoration work also meant that new crossing points were organized, were designed for pedestrians. So there is no need to go down to the underpass and up again. And this is something that we are going to take an advantage on. I will take you to the most photogenic spot, and then we'll make our way down to the lower embankment. So now we are in the dead center. Now the chain bridge can only be crossed by cabs, by motorcycles, and by mass transit. So the traffic is much more limited than it used to be. Hardly no traffic jams on the bridge, and for urban cyclists like myself, it became a little bit safer than it used to be. I took during the preparations. I took some pictures from here. So if you would like to take this angle with you as a postcard, I'll upload the picture to our Facebook group, Captivating Hungary Through Adam's Eyes. In case any one of you joined the tour as per invitation, not from the Facebook group. I mentioned that the bridge was sponsored by the Széchenyi and by the Shinas. Unfortunately, the gentleman who initiated the construction of the chain bridge never crossed the bridge himself. Before 1849, before the bridge was opened, actually in November 1849, he was hospitalized in a psychiatric institute in Vienna, in the Dublin Psychiatric Institute, where he passed away in 1860. He never returned to Budapest, to Buda and Pest, after he's been hospitalized in Dublin. Interestingly, in the same psychiatric institute, they also treated Ignaz Semmelweis, who is also known as the savior of mothers, and Moritz Alexander as well, who is also known as the Devil's Horse Rider. We talk a lot about him when we are touring the Buda Castle hill and we walk by the today's presidential palace. The irony is that the chain bridge was opened by Haynau, by Austrian general whose job was to organize the retaliation after the fallen rising of 1848 and 1849. He opened it in November 1849, a few weeks after he executed the Hungarian military leaders on the 6th of October 1849. It's also a national holiday today. If you think about it, if you've noticed, if you've raised your eyebrows, that again, it's a national holiday and we celebrate something sad, it's pretty much like a standard practice in Hungary. That should we celebrate something, it tends to be something sad. And well, you can see that there are several port facilities here. You may remember that we had a bunch of cruises as well, virtual cruises on the Danube. Well, the Metropolitan Transportation Company couldn't decide or haven't decided yet whether if they want to continue the service, the public transit boat service, or not. So we'll see whether if it will be possible for us to cruise on the Danube during the sunset and blue hour. And well, because the weather was very pleasant during the previous month, well, the metropolitan municipality decided that spring is already here, and from this weekend on until the end of September, every single weekend, the lower embankment will be closed down from general traffic. In the previous years, it was only the summer months when this happened. They tried to turn the city center more pedestrian friendly. We'll see how it will go. And the plan is that every single weekend, the lower embankment will be closed. So we can walk down here, we can cycle as well here together. On this photo, you can see how busy the lower embankment was. The lower embankment of both the Pest and the Buda side were divided into sections, and each section was dedicated to a specific commodity. The storage facilities, the port facilities matched the said commodity. That was one section for grain, wheat closer to the great market hall, one for lumber close to the sawmills, and so on and so forth. The strange thing is that you think about it, these are like 5-star hotels. Today we would call them 5-star hotels, right along the promenade that we walked quite often together during the previous years. And a few meters away from there, we have this industrial zone with barges, boats, and port facilities. Later, these port facilities were moved further to the south to the Chapel Islands. And well, we arrived to a rather photogenic point. You can read Budapest here, and in the background, we have the former royal palace, the Cambridge, and the Matthias Church as well. So I thought that this could be our closing image for today's tour. And I'm happy to tell you that next week as well, I'm planning to do a tour, actually a tour that I haven't run before. We are going to walk the slopes of the Gellért Hill. It will be a mix of nature and history. A tour that Richard asked, I believe back in December last year. I was asking for tour ideas. So that is coming up next week. And later in March, early April, we'll make our way also to Szentendre to check how the city looks like after winter. And we will also go to the Danube bend around Easter to see how Zebegén prepares itself for the Easter weekend. And well, like before, I continuously upload content to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/behind Budapest. Mostly silent tours. And well, those who decided to contribute through Buy Me a Coffee, or also get extra content on a regular basis, fairly regular basis. Whenever I have time to create content, they always get some extra. So consider this as well. I'm thinking about buying a copy or two. So silent tours are coming, and the recording of this tour as well will be uploaded to the YouTube channel sooner or later today or tomorrow evening, depending how fast I can upload stuff to YouTube. Well, as I'm about to conclude the tour, should you have any questions, it is time to ask. Bye-bye, Claudia. Thank you very much for being with us today. So yeah, check out the YouTube channel. Lots of excellent content. I believe excellent. Also, there will be a roughly 9-minute long video of the light dome. Most likely, I will not be able to go there today to do a 45-minute long, 35, 40-minute long tour. But while I was preparing for a possible tour in the light dome, I did a video, a 9-minute long video that will be published rather soon in the on the YouTube channel. So stay tuned, follow that channel, and come consider buying a coffee. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. See you rather soon. Ciao, ciao.